Time to sit down to a feast of blood, unlikable characters, and dark grisly nature. Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review. And this movie review is going to be for a horror film that came out last weekend. And no, thankfully, not another stupid Blumhouse cheap paranormal flick. And not another sequel, thankfully. This time it's actually an original horror film, and it's an original slasher. And it's based off a fake movie trailer from the film Grindhouse. You know, this movie, it had fake trailers. And 3 of them... Sorry about that, guys. All right. Anyways, 3 of them got turned into movies. One of them was a film that was a big lie. One was a film that stayed true to its promise. And this third adaptation is for a horror film. And it's done by a mixed person, Eli Roth, who also directed the fake movie trailer for this film. This review, guys, is going to be for none other than last weekend's Thanksgiving, the movie adaptation, the full-length film adaptation. After a long time, Grindhouse film adaptations were coming back with this movie. Maybe. We don't know if they're going to be, if we'll see other adaptations of the fake trailers. We'll see how it goes, but anyway, what's the plot of this movie? Well, it's after a Black Friday riot that ends in tragedy. A mysterious Thanksgiving-inspired killer named Carver terrorizes Plymouth, Massachusetts, the birthplace of the infamous holiday. Yeah, so how's the movie made? Well, we all know this. Eli Roth created the fake movie trailer Thanksgiving. Yeah. For the film Grindhouse from 2007, and then plans for a feature-length adaptation began. Then in 2010, Roth told Cinema Blend that he was writing the script with Jeff Rendell, and he hoped to complete it once he was done with the press for The Last Exorcism, because he produced that movie. He didn't direct it, but he was one of the producers. By August 2012, John Watts and Christopher D. Ford were set to write the screenplay with Roth and Rendell after they finished writing the Roth-produced film Clown. Then in June 2016, Roth revealed on Reddit that the script still needed work in order for the film to live up to the trailer. In February 2019, reports indicated that Roth was slated to direct an undisclosed horror film for Miramax the next month in Boston, Massachusetts. Then Bloody Disgusting speculated that the film could potentially be Thanksgiving, but they would not be verifying it. And it was all the way until January 2023 that the film would continue to get made. And Spyglass Media Group was going to be producing the film, was reported by Deadline Hollywood. And Roth, who was directing Borderlands at the time, decided to depart from the film to go direct Thanksgiving. And he passed additional photography off to Deadpool director Tim Miller, so Roth could go direct this movie. A month after that, cast members Patrick Dempsey and Addison Rae were the first cast members announced for the film. And also cast were other actors like J. Thomas Brooks, Neil Verlack, and Milo Manhattan. In March 2023, Rick Hoffman, Gina Gerson, Tim Dillon, Gabriel Davenport, Thomas Sinelli, and Jenna Warden joined the cast. And so, Thanksgiving, the movie adaptation would finally go on to be released in the United States by TriStar Pictures on November 17th, 2023. How was it received? Well, It got positive reviews from critics. Yeah. Now, as for my reaction, well, I was split on this film when I saw the trailers for it. I mean, now, I liked we were seeing another Grindhouse film adaptation getting made, but on the bad side, it was being done by the mixed director Eli Roth. Yes, I know he's the director of the Trailer Guys, but guys, when it comes to his movies, look at his filmography. Not everything he's done has really been a hit. Yeah, I know that. You're all gonna say he did Cabin Fever, he did Hostel. Were they critically acclaimed? I mean, and were they too acclaimed by the horror community though? Yeah and no. There's some that enjoy the concepts, but even those two movies had major problems. They have irritating characters, a lot, and not very, and some really irritating dialogue, and Roth has this thing with trying to be the director, trying to be the creative writer of his projects, almost as much as Rob Zombie. I don't think Roth's nearly as bad as Rob Zombie, because the thing is, unlike Rob Zombie, who fucked up Halloween, at least Roth didn't go fuck up other franchises. So at least Roth didn't try to go fuck up horror icons, and actually makes original stuff. I'll give him credit for that. At least he leaves franchises the fuck alone. And he doesn't go woke. Those I'll give him credit for. He's not woke. And he does not try to go touch classic horror movies. He got offered to direct a remake of The Blob, but Roth was like, fuck no. And he refused. He refused to do any remakes. He never wants to do a remake of a... He did do the Death Wish remake, but I'm talking about horror remakes, not action remakes. There's a difference. And Death Wish is like his best film. And the Death Wish remake is actually, personally, I think is his best film. But I know he's got a good horror film in his belt. But the problem is, they just end up not going well because he keeps trying to get the creative control of his projects. He keeps trying to put his dialogue in the movies. So I was split on this. And I was hoping that maybe this would finally be the film that proves Eli Roth to the horror club. So I saw it now. Sorry this took so long, guys, but I finally saw it while Christmas shopping on Tuesday night. And how was this movie? It was, well, now, it's not terrible. I'll say that. It was decently enjoyable, but I wouldn't call it great. I mean, I was really hoping for like a vicious bloodbath, like either this movie. Yeah, I just want to make sure which side doesn't get blocked by the poster for this. So, yeah, kind of like this movie was. This was the one that really does well be Grindhouse, of the Grindhouse movie adaptations. Or maybe we get something like these movies. But this one, it just felt like your typical horror movie you get these days. Like, the focus isn't really on the scares, but it seems like it just tries to be gory. I mean, you do get a few good kills, but that's about it. Just kind of the kills you'd see in a typical new film these days. And it's somewhat and it does kind of make you laugh at times, and there were times I did laugh in the movie because of how ridiculous it was, especially the opening scene. Like, there's definitely some things I was hoping would see make it into the movie, but a lot of Grindhouse stuff really wasn't in this film. Thanksgiving, yeah, it's entertaining, but it's conceptually by the books. It falters in some of its own tried dialogue and exposition. At times it borders on mechanical in feel, and it suffers from a clunky last act that fumbles the film's momentum. And when the film gets it right, particularly some of its audience murder sequences and classic scare setups, it's recklessly fun. There's a large cast here of young actors who handle the material well enough, and some screen veterans in supporting roles to varying degrees like Patrick Dempsey. and Black Christmas's Lynn Griffin, and Blink or You'll Miss a Part. Eli Roth takes this concept that was conjured up from a trailer he made with 16 years ago with Grindhouse, which is an awesome movie. You wouldn't think the concept would translate to a full feature length, but it does. He does his best 80s slasher impressions, and it feels legitimate and not forced. It's a new age potential iconic slasher that's introduced. It will be likely, and I did like that. While this movie didn't really feel Grindhouse-like, at least it didn't lie about being a slasher film. At least it wasn't a lie, and at least they did not get political. It was not another failed machete attempt. There's no border references in this. There's no overforce. The Black Friday is a curse, or talking about how over political talk about Black Friday and stuff. They don't do any of that, guys. There's no political bullshit in this. The setting's ambient and perfect for the theme, and it provides a great visual feast. Roth really ups his game, making sure all attention to detail is presentation is covered and implements a more complete film. The brutality is unleashed, and it doesn't hold back along with disgustingly fun gore. The cast is shockingly well put together, and that's rare in most horror films nowadays. And the setup is classic stalk and slash, because it takes place a year after this Black Friday riot caused a bunch of deaths. This mass killer takes revenge on people who cause tragedy. It is predictable, but this is but it could be a comfort movie for slasher fans. It delivers some nostalgic feels, and there's some splatter kills guaranteed to please some gore hounds, but don't expect anything crazy. And the gore's, it's fine. There's fine gore. If you're expecting, because this is Eli Roth, you're going to expect, maybe, is this going to be Hostel levels of gore? Or Grindhouse, is it going to be where is it? Oh. Is it going to be this movie's levels of gore? No. There's no Hostel levels of gore here, and there's definitely no Terrifier levels of gore here, and there's no Hobo with a Shotgun levels of gore here. But there's some moments it tries to get close, but it tries to keep cutting, but sometimes it keeps trying to tone down at times. The camera's not shy about violence, and you do see some more than just blood. And an opening scene, the opening scene has the best deaths. It's during the Black Friday riots, where a man gets pushed by a crowd against a glass shard that cuts his neck and causes him to bleed out. Then a man gets crushed by a door, trampled to death, and a woman gets brutally killed by 2 shopping carts. The Black Friday scene is the scene where it actually feels like it's trying to be Grindhouse. You have Black Friday customers swearing at one another, saying "fuck" and stuff. That actually has the Grindhouse feel to it. The opening scene, the dialogue was obnoxious, but that's the opening scene that had me laughing my ass off in the theater. Okay? That's Grindhouse dialogue. The one scene that tried to be a Grindhouse movie right there. I was already entertained. Couldn't wait to see where this goes, and as the movie progressed, it got a little too soft. The first 20 minutes, that's the most original, best part of the film, and it actually makes the movie worth it. It's set on Black Friday. We see the stress that retail workers go through and prepare for such an event, and it then gets followed by hordes of idiots who want to just ram raid a shop to get great deals on some cheap, stupid products that the shop just probably just wanted to get rid of because no one was buying them. That's the only type people are going to buy them, and when they buy them, they're going to get bored of them quick and they're going to throw them out. As a result of the carnage, several people die. And at the same time the following year, someone's out to get revenge on Thanksgiving, of all days, on the very people they perceive as responsible. And then after the first 20 minutes, after the Black Friday riot, when the movie does begin, it kind of just feels like it's just trying to be another Scream. Except this time, if Scream were set on Thanksgiving. A group of survivors of Black Friday trying to stay alive and work out who the killer is. We're kind of given some clues as to who it obviously may be, but instead, it feels like the film focuses on pointing fingers at certain characters to try to distract us. And I feel like I wasn't really having a clue as to who the killer would be, and when they were revealed, I felt their motive to commit the murders was bland. I mean, is this trying to be a mystery film or a slasher film? And for an over-the-top, like, comedic tone, Thanksgiving did little as a horror film for me. I was expecting something dark, expecting, like, because this was Eli Roth, I was expecting something nasty, something dark. Like, it feels too limited when it comes to being frightening. Like, there's intense moments here and there, but many of the scares end up feeling repetitive. And Eli Roth movies are known for over-the-top violence, and when there are some kills, there's times when there's no exception here. But there's a number of slow moments, but slasher fans could be happy when the killer does sustain in the scenes, when there is gore, because he gets the job in creating a disturbing grace. But the writing, like all of Eli Roth's movies, it's the weakest part of the film. Like, I think Eli Roth made the characters, once again, this is the problem with every one of his movies, his characters are really, really unlikable. And maybe it was done here on purpose. And it would have been a great idea if he didn't try to spend a good part of the movie making audiences care for these dumbass kids that were following this movie by the end of the movie. Like, at least make some characters likable. Like, look at this movie, guys. This movie even had more gore. And it actually had a good protagonist, though. That's the thing. It had a protagonist you liked. It actually had get a badass showdown with her and the killer. In this movie, yeah, it was under 3 minutes, but it had a character protagonist I actually liked to see. And I actually liked the final fight at the end of the film. So, I don't know why Thanksgiving could have at least had one likable character you rooted for. Like, even with the final act of Hostel, even. Paxton, in Hostel, starts becoming a badass. He kills a bunch of kills a bunch of Eli Hunting Club people. Goes back and saves the Japanese girl that gets her eyeball burnt out. Runs over the two bitches who betrayed his ass, and the guy that sent him to that hostel, runs them over, and then the Japanese girl distracts like the crowd of people by committing suicide, and Paxton is able to escape on the board, but then he sees that a Dutch businessman's on the same train as him. He tells the Dutch businessman to the bathroom at their next stop, slits off the fingers he lost in that place as payback, then costs the Dutch businessman those fingers, drowns his face in a toilet, and then slits the Dutch businessman's throat, and then he leaves, and the movie's over. So Hostel may not be great, but that final act is worth it. The final act in Hostel makes that movie worth it for me. And then he got, this movie as well, where there's one scene that's worth it, and it's the first scene of the movie, and then the rest of the movie just, what happens? I thought we were watching an exploitation film, and then suddenly they just want to be a normal horror film next. Like, to sum it all up in short, it has the same problems as many Eli Roth movies. No likable characters, no memorable dialogue, and not very well done writing. And it sometimes relies on simple things in its transitions and key points. And our highly skilled killer sometimes behaves really absurdly. And I felt the cheeriness of those moments. And though director Roth finds gruesome ways to dispense with the annoying teens, it just gets tired. There's times when it just gets tiresome and it doesn't really feel like it's gross. There's very uneven smirks, like when the first victim's murdered, the police are going over the viscera while we are supposed to be laughing. It saves them from behind the camera. And the movie does give you what you want. The kills are associated with the holiday, all the victims have their heads chopped off and placed at the table. It doesn't make lawn for the killer, who's named Carver, because the killer wears a John Carver mask. Makes quips as he kills. And the motivation for the killings aren't really convincing. Like, what's it to be influenced by? The kills are worthy of being killed. They're obnoxious. The killed are worthy of being killed because they're obnoxious in this movie. A lot of points, you just find yourself cheering for the killer. Like, even when the final girl is fleeing in this movie, even you want her ass to be done as well. Like, nobody was likable. I didn't give a shit about any of these characters. Like, yeah. And that's really Like, this is the thing though. You should have had at least one character you could like. One. At least just one. Such as this film. I want to make sure it's not being blocked by posters, so that's why I'm just going to wave it around. Like, in Hobo with a Shotgun, Rutger Hauer, rest in peace, was a great protagonist. As well, like, he's this nameless hobo, wanders into a hellish city where there's a whole bunch of crime, and, like, as soon as you meet this guy, like, and after he gets tortured by those criminals, but he finds that the police are in on it as well, he meets this teen girl named Abby, defends her from creeps, and more corrupt rapist police, and then he decides to do good for the town by killing all the scum. The hobo was a great character in that film. Yeah, the problem though with Hobo the Shotgun is I really wish we didn't have such a shitty ending. We could have had a much better ending, to be honest, because, yeah, I get it, like, you can't always end every movie on a happy note, but with Hobo the Shotgun, you could have actually had a better ending where him and Abby just drive, after the Drake gets killed, the police are about to kill the hobo, but the citizens decide to shoot the police as soon as he kills a Drake, so the police could have just died before he kills a Drake. And then after that's all done, as the police are being shot at, then him and Abby flee, and they drive off, they leave the city. That would have been a better ending to Hobo with a Shotgun right there. So, this one, there's just nobody likable here. You just, as soon as you meet the main character of this movie, you just want them all to fucking die. Like, I'd rather have love to hate characters than just have characters you just don't enjoy watching. You just want their asses to die the minute you meet them. Like, one guy was probably so fucking obnoxious. And it's one of the jocks, and it's during the Black Friday thing, like, he pretty much causes the Black Friday riots by grabbing his props, like, yeah, I got this, I'm better than you losers outside, ha ha ha. Like, it's just gloating to their faces about how he got to have products before them, and that pisses them off more. So he pretty much triggered a whole bunch of deaths, and what's worse is, he even films the whole fucking thing for views, and posts it on YouTube. So that's the first guy I wanted dead. Like, oh my god. Like, there's just, yeah, so I didn't like any of these characters. I didn't enjoy any of them. I could give less of a shit if they died. Even the final girl, I wanted her ass to die. Even I hated the final chick of this movie. And guys, I've seen slashers that are entertaining, enjoyable, and don't feel filler. And even the slashers that have unlikable characters, you still have some characters you do like. Quite a few of those I've seen actually have characters you at least can like, even if there are also some unlikable characters in those. And like, this movie it just felt slow, and it barely feels like a Grindhouse film. It doesn't even, because it doesn't have the grainy look film to it like Hobo the Shotgun did, and Grindhouse itself did, and it feels way too modern for a Grindhouse movie. So yeah, this is not a rant, guys, but there's things that really aggravate me on this. The finale of this movie was like every fucking Scream movie. Because our final girl makes it to a parade warehouse, she finds one of her pals unconscious, and follows this figure wearing the Carver mask that the killer wears, and she sees it's Bobby. She calls Newton to help capture Bobby, but he escapes. And the police then arrive, and they inform them that the survivors are safe. And when they leave the final girl and Patrick Dempsey's character alone, the final girl notices that the same bramble debris from the fence in the deep woods that stuck her also on Patrick Dempsey's clothing and sneakers. And we find out that Patrick Dempsey's character was the killer. He then reveals he had an affair with Amanda, was pregnant with his child when she died, and it was his motive to become the killer and seek revenge on those responsible. But then, to Dempsey's horror, apparently the girl just outsmarts him long before all of this, because she just live streams his confession. So he's already exposed. Way too damn quick. And it leads him to try to attack her, but she gets saved quickly by Bobby, the guy we're supposed to think was the killer. Two then attempt to escape on a tow truck that belongs to the guy's uncle, but Dempsey hooks it to a support beam, approaches them with an axe, and then the final girl uses the musket to shoot a parade balloon, and it causes an explosion that literally engulfs Dempsey in flames. Then that guy that saved her gets taken away in an ambulance, and the final girl reunites with the rest of her surviving friends. And the authorities can't find Dempsey's remains, but at least didn't believe he was incinerating the explosion, but of course he's obviously still alive, so that's basically my Bloody Valentine 3D's ending, where we think the killer's dead, but he escaped. And we never even know if that got resolved, because even my Bloody Valentine 3D didn't get a sequel. And it really should have. And then it ends with the final girl having a sequel-baiting nightmare of Flaming Dempsey attacking her from a bedroom closet. So, yeah, this movie doesn't even have an actual ending. It ends with a sequel setup, which was a horrible idea because we don't even know how profitable this movie will even be. Like, its opening weekend, it's only made $10 million. And I think it's so far only made $14 million so far. So, why did we need a sequel bait ending if it's probably not even going to make that much money? Roth should have just given it Roth, dude, you should have just given us an actual ending in case the movie bombed. Like, and also Roth, there's a problem with some sequels to your movies. Have you seen the results of sequels to your movies? Like the ones you didn't make, Cabin Fever, the sequels you had no involvement in, or one sequel you did try to make, Hostel Part 2, which didn't make any profits. Yeah, Hostel 2 didn't even make any profit compared to the first one. 0. So, yeah, and that's why there's a rule that you should not be giving your movies sequels if none of them are going to work. Like, wouldn't you have learned what happened with those movies and just try to make this a standalone in case the movie didn't do well? But despite some of my rant-worthy qualities, the positives are the first 20 minutes, the Black Friday riots, best scene of the movie that makes this movie work. That's the reason I feel like the movie is sometimes worth a watch, is for that one scene alone. And I like this was an original slasher movie. It wasn't another reboot. It wasn't another reboot sequel for a change. It was actually an original one. And they didn't have any woke garbage. So that's plus. So at least they didn't have any woke politics in here. So if you want a horror slasher like that with no woke politics, this is definitely going to be one of them in today's world. So I like that Roth did not go woke. Roth does have my respect for not being a wokeist. And not touching franchises. And refusing to do a Blob remake. So when it comes to either Roth or Rob Zombie, I'll take Eli Roth over Rob Zombie any day. With movie directing anyways. Rob Zombie's good at music, but he sucks at making movies. And he only had like 2 good movies on his belt. And there was obnoxious dialogue in here, but thankfully, I didn't think the dialogue was nearly as irritating. It didn't annoy me as much as some of Roth's other works. So it seemed like Roth is kind of starting to mature slightly for a change. And they did not lie, and as much as the kills weren't really enjoyable, the movie didn't lie about being a slasher movie. It didn't lie about being a horror movie at all. It didn't turn out, thank God it was not another Machete, and it didn't lie. And another thing I did enjoy, I'll admit, I did like Patrick Dempsey's performance. Like, despite the twist being predictable, I did enjoy his character and performance in the movie. Like, I don't know why, instead of him being the villain of this movie, we could have had this movie be about his character instead, and not these stupid bitch teen characters you don't give a rat's ass about. Because I did not care for these dumbass teenagers. Like, seriously, if I was in that shop with them, I'd just get my product and fucking leave. And that's fucking it. I wouldn't be gloating their fucking faces. I just get my Like, or I would just not go to the fucking store. Right? I just stay the fuck home and eat Thanksgiving dinner. And if I was, I just get my product and fucking go. And then the whole problem could have been fucking avoided. Problem solved. No, let's just laugh in their faces about how we get to get the products early and they don't. We'll piss them off more, make them run to the store angry, get a whole bunch of people killed with our stupidity and selfishness. Or hell, even that stupid TV commercial guy with a mustache who's too busy trying to film a stupid commercial. Even that guy I didn't care about. Even he too, I feel like, should have died. Like, look, each their own. You guys enjoyed this movie, that's fine. But personally, I just thought it was a bit of a letdown. I don't even think it's that gory like some people really want to call it. I feel like Roth just wanted to make a Scream-like clone set during Thanksgiving after the first 20 minutes. I mean, they didn't lie about being a slasher. They didn't get political. That was nice. There wasn't any woke stuff, and they didn't try to remake another movie. And it was an original slasher character for once. But other than, like, the only exploitation thing I found in this movie was the first Black Friday scene. And that was literally it. So if you're expecting something Grindhouse-like, you're not going to get that with this movie. You'll get an original slasher film, but don't expect anything Grindhouse-related. So in the end, guys, I would just stream Thanksgiving because you won't get much excitement out of this film other than the first scene of the movie, or unless you want an original slasher. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review of Thanksgiving, and if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Thanksgiving, here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you love slashers and Eli Roth, I would just stream this one online because it's just Roth attempting to do a Scream clone, and mostly I would just watch the opening scene of the film because that's the closest to exploitation you're going to get. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Thanksgiving, I'm going to give Thanksgiving a 6 out of 10. There we go. That wraps up my review for Thanksgiving. So if you like the film, tell me in the comments below. I want to know your opinions on this movie if you saw it. And, yeah. So, this was a little long, guys, because this is my first time making reviews again after another hiatus to get ready for Christmas, get everybody's Christmas gifts. But now that that's been all taken care of, I can try to get back to making videos again now. I mean, I still got the Lion King ranking. That's going to be the next video. And then after the Lion King ranking, we'll finally try to get into some more Christmassy videos. And that's going to start with some legend you guys probably remember as 90s kids. Ernest. Yeah. So our first Christmas video next week is going to be Ernest Saves Christmas's review. And I'm going to try my best to remember because I watched it around the beginning of November to get myself ready to the holiday spirit. So if I'm a little slow in that video, guys, sorry about that. But I just try my best to remember as I do the video. So that's why they kind of take a bit. And I don't mean to take them long, but sometimes I just kind of want to go in depth. Until then, guys, that'll be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.